Hello everyone. From my perspective, the founding documents do essentially two things. Enumerate the three core rights that nature's God has granted to us as individuals: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And describe a framework for government that maximizes the opportunity for individual citizens to pursue those rights. These core rights are maximized in a society where government is strong enough to prevent individual citizens from infringing on other rights, but not so strong that the government itself begins to infringe on those same rights. Let's run through a couple of examples to flesh this idea out, and then we can drill in on Alex Jones and the specific right of freedom of speech. Example number 1, individual to individual. Bob is a mobster. Elaine is a local grocery store owner. Bob wants some money from Elaine. So Bob's goons show up to Elaine's store to break things and steal stuff. Later, Bob tells Elaine that if she'll pay him some protection money, he'll make sure nothing bad happens to her store. Whether or not Elaine pays Bob, he has clearly infringed on all three of her core rights. Her life is threatened by violence and by Bob's threats. Her liberty is infringed because her movement, her speech, and her association are all under threats by these same mobsters. And her pursuit of happiness is threatened as well, as she cannot make free choices in her business or other pursuits as long as this threat persists. I want to make it clear, I'm not a libertarian. I believe that each person is a moral agent capable of freely choosing good and evil. So government plays a vital role in a civil society by constraining the actions of those who would choose evil. Example number 2, Maria is a gifted hairstylist. That's probably not the right term, but let's be honest, this isn't really my area of expertise. She's a single mother living in Texas and is looking for a better life for herself and her small children. So she decides to go into business and applies for a cosmetology operator's license, only to discover she needs 1,500 hours of experience to become licensed. So she goes back to bagging groceries for minimum wage. In this small example, Maria's core right to the pursuit of happiness is being infringed. I suppose it's possible the government's seeking to protect another citizen's right to life in case their haircut goes horribly wrong, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. So now we go back to Alex Jones. I chose his example because he's one of the least sympathetic characters I could think of. When challenging yourself to identify principles you support, I would encourage you to do the same. Find the worst case scenario that applies and see if your principles remain true. Freedom of speech, whether in private or on public platforms, enjoys almost blanket protection. The exceptions fall within a few categories we're going to review. Calls to action, specifically reckless or violent ones, when your speech is designed to incite specific action that would be detrimental to another party. Some examples include death threats, yelling fire in a crowded theater. Now the reason why fire in a crowded theater is wrong is because it could reasonably be expected to incite a panic, which could then cause trampling, crushing issues where people get hurt. So even though you're not intentionally threatening anyone, it's still not protected speech. Defamation, lying about a person's character or their actions in order to damage their reputation or their business. And obscenity, profane speech, pornography, child pornography particularly, etc. As the old saying goes, you know it when you see it. Now, when can Alex Jones get into trouble with his speech? Let's return to the Sandy Hook example we used. He made specific false statements about the character of those parents. And this is an example of defamation. And in June of 2019, Alex Jones was successfully sued for defamation by one of these parents. For me, this is a victory of government protections against an evil actor. Next week, we will drill down further to the banning of Alex Jones. As you may imagine, even though we've identified some of the issues with Alex Jones and the way he uses his speech, the banning of Alex Jones isn't something done by him, but rather to him. So we'll need to dig a little further into the other parties in this drama. As is the case with many issues that come through the news cycle, this issue may have seemed simple at first, but it's actually a thorny rat's nest of nuance and competing priorities. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for thinking. Until next week, cheers.